Hello, Vuejs Amsterdam. It is just incredible to be here again. This is a huge, huge stage. And I want to thank everybody for being here. And the Vue community is just incredible. And I think this conference is one of the best examples of that. We're going to talk about Vite, past, present, and future. First, I'm Matias Capeletto. You may know me as Patak online. He is Zorro, one of our 3 cats. I'm part of the big core team and other teams in the ecosystem, like Elk or Vitest. And I work at the StackBlitz, where I get to focus full-time on doing open source for the Vite ecosystem. And if you don't know StackBlitz, they have this very cool technology called web containers that allow you to run Node in the browser locally. We use it a lot in the Vite ecosystem for starters, for documentation, tutorials, bug reports, if you ever reported a bug to us. And the best way is in the same way of Vite, like try it out. You can go to our repo, to the Vite core repo, and you will see this review PR button that you can press, and you will have an online IDE to check it out. So, once upon a time, Evan Joe felt a new itch after Vue. Vue CLI left him craving something lighter and faster. He paired Rollup and ESBuild with modern standards. He hacked a snappy, bundle-less dev server and added an optimized build pipeline. He got the flexibility of Rollup with Lightning HMR. It worked beautifully. He called it Vite. So let's get back. 4 years ago, Webpack was the king of front-end build tooling. Rollup was being used a lot, especially in libraries, and there was some native alternatives like SWC, an alternative for Babel, or ESBuild, like writing in Go, an alternative also to these build tools that are starting to appear. Evan, on the April 20, 2020, stayed all night up, and he hacked what is going to convert in the first version of Vite. He did a bundle-less server using ES imports, and he released it. The next day, it was like out in the world. And this worked really great. Like it had HMR that was like 43 milliseconds using ESBuild. And at around the same time, there were other great experiments going on, and like some established products also, like the Parcel team have been working for a long time. And there is also the Web Dev Server, Snowpack, WMR, and all these projects heavily influenced each other. And Vite 1 was about to be released after a few months of work, but Evan decided that it was not going to be released at all. Like he sent this discussion, and the idea was that WMR did a really interesting thing with the plugin API, allowing you to do with only coding once, the work in dev and build at the same time. So yeah, Evan said, like, let's re-architecture this again. So he did that, inspiring WMR, and also removed all the Vue-specific code, and started hacking for like 2 months. At the same time, he was working on VitePress, a Vue and Vite static site generator, and it was really, really good, because Evan was a consumer from a framework perspective of Vite, and it heavily influenced the Vite APIs. We have framework authors that come in later saying us, like, this looks like it was written for me, and this is because Evan wrote it for himself. And at the same point, this is like Maximo releasing Vite Ruby, like the very polished ecosystem starting to appear. Just 2 months afterwards, Evan adopted an SSR shim that was working in SvelteKit, that at the time was using Snowpack, and it was almost done to release Vite 2. And it was announced in February 16. And from then on, it started like a spree of growth. There was a problem. Evan is a single person, and there is like huge projects. So it has Vue and Vite. So he decided to set up a team and invited some of the main contributors to take over of daily maintenance of the project. Obviously, he stayed involved, and we had like weekly meetings, and yeah. So Afterwards, SvelteKit is the first major framework that switched to Vite. They were using Snowpack before. It made a lot of sense at that point when Vite started to use like heavily rollup and also like the same shim of SSR. And Chess led Cypress to adopt Vite for component testing. Anthony, that at that point was already responsible for half the ecosystem of plugins, joined in Nax Lab, and from then on went to build incredible things thanks to their support. And Astro, the Astro team actually was the same as the Snowpack team, and at one point they decided that they would join forces with us. So they switched Astro from Snowpack to Vite, and from then on we have been working together, and it's amazing because they had like tons of experience building Snowpack. Anthony, again, at the end of that year, there was one very big pain point, that Chess wasn't working well with Vite. It wasn't prepared at all. So Anthony started to hack in Vitesse and then invited us, and we invited tons of folks, and like there was a very interesting story of collaboration. And yeah, Vitesse now end up growing even faster than Vite after that. And things were like starting to grow a lot, and every time that I was pressing the release button, I was starting to be very nervous because we could break a lot of projects. So we created a tool that's called Vite Ecosystem CI that allows us to test downstream CIs against Vite main or against PRs. And with this, we can detect regressions before we release, and it really changes the way we work with maintainers. After this, a lot of that maintainers of downstream projects ended up adopting the same shim. And in February 2022, after crossing half a million downloads per week, I joined StackBlitz to work full-time on Vite, and it has been a dream to be able to spend time doing open source these past 2 years. And Safi sent his first PR, adding source map support during dev. This huge feature that was missing, and Safi came from nowhere and did this, and from then on, it actually fixes so many things, implemented a lot of features, as is now one of the main maintainers of the project. Debbie also here is saying that Playwright is starting to use Vite also for component testing. Taylor from the Laravel team, Laravel switched to Vite by default, and we crossed 1 million downloads here. And in July, we released Vite 3. This was a big major with like tons of cleanups, but we were able, using Vite Ecosystem CI, to make sure that we can bring everyone with us. Quick started to use Vite. Jorn joined the Astro team, actually, to work in Astro and Vite, and he's also one of the main maintainers of Vite right now. And we had, almost with 2 million downloads in October 2002, the first ViteConf. Like, this was an amazing showcase of the ecosystem, tons of speakers, and yeah, if you haven't seen the talks, like, watch them out. Storybook, released the Storybook 7 with Vite support, the first class for the first time. Before this, you were using Webpack and Vite at the same time, every time you run a Storybook. Now it seems like, wow, but yeah. Solid Start was released, like this is a meta framework from the Solid Fox. And Nax 3 was finally released after like 2 years of work, and this was just incredible, not only for Nax, but because they also, in the process, developed a lot of tools, some of them, like the speakers have talked about, like Vite Node, Nitro, Unplugin, the whole Unshades umbrella. So these are amazing tools, missing pieces for framework authors. And we also released Vite 4, that upgraded Rollup for the first time. There was like a big major with a lot of improvement at that point. And Arnaud joined the Vite team and took over all the plugins, React, added like plugin React SWC, and he also like has become like a very important team member. We reached 3 million downloads 1 year ago in this same stage. Vuejs Amsterdam flight 10 Vite team members, and we had like a panel here, and it was just amazing. We're very grateful. It was the first time we met in real life, a lot of us at that point. As from the conference, Vladimir, that is one of the main Vite maintainers, actually joined the Vite team during the conference and started to work to integrate Vite node into core. And yeah, like he has been working in this PR for a year. We merged it not that long ago. We are going to talk later about that. At this time, also there were a lot of innovation, TurboPack, RSPack, like native alternative to Webpack. Parcel also keep innovating, for example, with lighting CSS that you can use optionally in Vite now. And because of all that innovation, also it pushed us to keep improving Vite. Vite 4.3, we released it like a major improvement in performance, like 70% in call start. Marco also switched to Vite. Angular switched to Vite, that was unsyncable before. Redwood switched to Vite by default. And we had the next ViteConf at this point. And Rolldown was announced that was done with, it's going to be done with OXC, like Evan talked about that last time. And I love this quote from Mark, that is this from Remix, the last project to join the Vite ecosystem. I say, like, the Vite community has been so welcoming to the Remix team during our experimentation, not just from Vite maintainers, but from maintainers of other Vite-based framework too. There's no sense of competition at all. We all just want to help each other out. And I think we should all be proud in the community that people new to the ecosystem feel like this. And we released Vite 5 in November last year, and Vite 5.1 in just a few weeks ago. And we are now in 10 million downloads. And this is just like a number, but it's a representation of the growth of so many projects and the collaboration of like so many teams. Like, I wanted to add a slide with all the faces, but I should add the faces of everyone. So I don't have like enough space here. So let's go into the present now. In Vite 5.0, Node.js 18 is required. We switched it to Rollup 4. It's now like SWC based, the AST parsing, so there is good performance improvement during build. We have ES build power defined. Before we were using regex, and it was full with bugs. This is very good. We deprecated Vue.js Node API. Like, this is part of our effort to switch to ESM, to push for ESM. Vite 5.1, we improved support for CSS URL. There is also like a lot of HMR improvement when you have circular import in your project. And there is a lot of performance improvement also. This is what I want to focus for a bit. You can opt into CSS preprocessor in threads. For Vuetify projects, for example, you can get an up to 40% faster dev setup. There is a cache file system check scheme right now that's like resolving IDs in Windows got like 5 times faster. We have a new warmup API to improve performance and a new opt-in strategy for loading optimized dependencies. And there is a lot of internal dev server improvements. This is the evolution of loading 10K modules from each minor. And you will see like the big jump in Vite 4.3 and the jump that we just got in 5.1 again. And we will keep working to improve this. So there is a guide, Vite.js dev guide performance, that you can check out. We're going to check some of the performance tips. Especially this is important in like bundle-less setup when you have like 1,000 or 10,000 modules. That is not all the project that you will actually have. But it is important in that case to review. So you should use an incognito window. If you have, for example, browser extensions, they actually slow down quite a bit. Like if I test with TamperMonkey in a new block, 10K modules, I get like 4 seconds, and if I use incognito, I get 2 seconds. So it's not nothing. And don't disable caching, because Vite actually does hard caching of optimized dependencies, and also like responds with 3 or 4 when there is unchanged source code. Yeah, so like the difference is not going to be that much, but still. So I wanted to check this with you. I have here, like this is the TurboPack benchmark, but a little bit of style for the conference. So it's a React app like that is drawing a Vue logo. And this is example of collaboration between frameworks, let's say. So if I have here, where is, OK. So this is my user. And I have 2 extensions right now. So if I press the reload button, I will have like 900 milliseconds. And I have disabled the cache here, so I remove that. And then I will click again. And now it is 450 milliseconds with the cache. This is for a full reload. Full reload would happen, for example, if you modify something and it's not HMR, because you modified like a config or something like that, then will be a full reload. And then, like, if instead of that, we go to the incognito, so I have the incognito window here, and I press reload here, we have 320 milliseconds. This is like if you see this is like 1K modules being rendered in like this time. So like just for also reference that bundle-less depth setup kind of work. So let's get back. You can also audit configure plugins. You could use Vite plugin inspect. Is the screenshot there that you will see like all the transformer stack and how I modify. This is a dream for plugin developers. But also, if you are a user, it will show you performance metrics. And you can also use Vite plugin transform Vite when you use it in the CLI to get the tail metrics. You should avoid unneeded resolve complexity if possible. I know that for some enterprise project and very large, it's very hard to ask. But if you import foo from foo, like without extension, then the build tool needs to check like all that. Like there are like 10 file system checks that should happen. So it is good like if you can just give us extension, you know it, and then we don't have to resolve it. And variable files aren't your friends. I know they are quite comfortable to use. Like a variable file, like you import everything you re-export everything in a folder. But when you say import / from utils, then the Vite dev server also needs to process color.js and dom.js. So if instead of that, you just say util / .js, the dev server will thank you so much. You can warm up frequently used files. This new API is called server warmup. This allows you to say, like, these files, as soon as you start the one server, pre-process them, because you will need it all the time. And actually, when you use in the CLI the open, that this means that Vite is not only going to open the dev server, but it's also going to follow the localhost URL. So in that case, we know what is the URL that you're going to open, and we can directly pre-process from that point. Because normally, like if it is a MPA, you can go to any page. So like if you use open, you're going to also get a good speed up. And try to use like do less work or use native tooling. So use CSS instead of preprocessors, if possible. Like try out experimental support for Lighting CSS in that case. Don't transform SVG into UI components if you can. Like if you're just going to show the SVG, like just show it. Like that is a lot of work if not the build tool needs to do for nothing. And you can use, for example, Vite plugin React SWC instead of Vite plugin React. And the same for like any other framework. This is, for example, the server work for running that 1K component that we saw before. And when you run it with Vite plugin React, you get 2.1 seconds of work in the server. This is exactly the same project. I just changed it, like added the SWC there. So you can see the difference of what the work needs to be done. That very first part is what Babel is processing. Wait, let's actually see it in action. So I have here, this is using Vite plugin React. So I'm going to test warm start. So I say pm dev. And you can see that, yes. So 2.2 seconds it took to actually load that component. And if I go to this one that is using plugin React SWC, so pm dev. Now we got it warm start. The other thing that we did was full reload. It was already like everything pre-processed in the server. Now we did a warm start from 0, and we got 850 milliseconds. And actually, like if we stop this and we say open, this means that the dev server will start processing as soon as we click enter, and then we get 450 milliseconds for warm start. So it is almost as a full reload here. Okay, let's talk about the future now. So we want to focus on stability. This is really important for us, given how huge the ecosystem is. Like, we are going to keep spending efforts on improving Vite ecosystem CI and trying to, like, all the talk that you saw from Anthony and Daniel yesterday, it applies here to Vite. Always keeping working on performance. Also flexibility. You will see new APIs that are more flexible and allow Vite to run in different environments. We want to continue pushing for alignment with the standards, like not only for ESM, but for example, I don't know, we have a JSON feature to import JSON. Maybe we will deprecate that and directly ask users to use the import JSON, the standard one. And we want to focus on maintainability, like this is always important. Also sustainability, like we are very lucky in the Vite project that we have several core team members that are sponsored by companies, and there is like individual sponsors, and like there are other companies sponsoring the project in general. But it is like always a good topic to keep working on for the long life of the project, and not only of Vite, but also of the upstream dependencies of Vite that also should be sustainable. And let's talk a little bit about Vite Runtime API, Rolldown, and Vite 6. So Vite Runtime API is a new API for Vite Core that is based on Vite Node, that is the engine that powers Vite Test and Nax3 Dev SSR. Props there to Anthony Fu, Puya Parsha, and Vladimir Sheremet for all the work in creating Vite Node, having the idea, like pushing it to completion in Vite Core. And like this is an API that is experimental in 5.1. It is like very in flux, but it will be a replacement for SSR load module at a high level, but having HMR support. And at a lower level, there will be new low-level primitives that allows you to run code using Vite in other environments. And yeah, it doesn't have dependencies with Node, Van, Deno, so like yeah, you can run in any environment. There is ongoing collaboration with framework maintainers and the Cloudflare team to like use the API in Workerd and Miniflare, and also like to review the API and make sure that this works and is future-proof. And our current plan is that in 5.2 we're going to revise the API, and in Vite 6 to finally stabilize it. So yeah, get involved and provide feedback. There is a discussion in the Vite repo, and try it out. Like that will be very helpful if you care about server-side rendering and like Vite in other environments. And talking about Rolldown, it is a ROS port of Rollup with the best effort in keeping the API compatible. It is intended to replace both Rollup and ESBuild in Vite, simplifying a lot of things internally. There is an independent team led by Evan Yo, and there is a lot of progress. We are looking forward for it to be open source, and we are working already inside the Vite team to prepare the ground. Like, for example, we removed dev optimization using ESBuild during build because it's not going to be needed in this future world. And there will also be really interesting collaboration with RSPAC because both of them are going to be using OXC. So there is like collaboration everywhere, as you can see. So I wanted to finish with an invitation to like come and help us. If you care about web tooling or you are enjoying just Vite and want to give back to the community and the project, come and build Vite 6 with us. You can join our Discord at chat.vjs.dev. You can help new users there. There is always a lot of questions, and this is really interesting because you can learn a lot more about Vite by helping others. You can dig in the repo and triage issues. That is always very welcome. And you can fix issues that are getting in your own way. That is the best way to get involved in open source. And participate in design discussions. Or just hang out with our communities, like go to Discord and send like a nice message to random, or like, yeah, I don't know, talk with us. It will be very welcoming. Not only to Vite, but as other speakers said, to any other of the other projects, like Nax, Vue, like anyone. Like actually, like all of them have very, very welcoming communities. And as Daniel said before, like if you don't know how to get it started, you can join our Discord, and like there is a contributing channel, and there you can chat with us. So that's all I got. Thanks, Vuejs Amsterdam.